Atlas, but you could see on the face of Spirit what that loss meant to him in terms of World Elite momentum, because they were really looking for a 2-0 in this series, and just World Elite emotionally, because King, if they pick up the 3 points here, if they go 2-0, they hit 23 points in 7th, World Elite at 15 with 2 series to play, they can only get 21. That's 7th spot. The dream of that is gone. That's basically a slot locked away from World Elite. They can only hope to unsettle Starhorn Royal Cup and M3, who both have 19 points themselves. With a maximum of 21 to be gotten, that requires Starhorn Royal Cup and M3 to both severely be underperforming in their last couple of series. And M3 themselves, they still have 3 series left. 2 points from 3 series. That's hoping for that from M3. That's really kind of praying to the gods if you're a World Elite fan. So they need to get at least a point here, and even then, it's looking tricky.
It is definitely looking tricky, and as you can see, World Elite actually taking that into account as far as these bans are concerned. They've banned away the Karthus here. They've gone back to the Cho'Gath and Nautilus bans as well, but you can see Urgot, he's snuck onto the ban list. King don't want to see that.
And Sejuani's available, but I think maybe Spirit, you can see how personally down he was, couldn't even face the camera after the loss. Maybe he needs to get onto the mid-game champion, because it was all about MLXG, snowballing that mid lane for Assassin in particular. Karthus actually first blooding Ahri in lane from the excellent Rek'Sai gank. I think maybe the mid-game pressure, the fact that they're not banning Sejuani suggests to me King are happy for Spirit to be forced away from the likes of the Nidalee, from the likes of the Rek'Sai. Put him on a farm jungler to stop him from just bossing around teams. We saw him bossing around Loveling not many weeks ago on Nidalee versus Jarvan. I think he needs to go for the earlier power spikes and impact those lanes early, because even though he played well, he just couldn't propel World Elite over the line.
Yeah, and the last time we saw World Elite looking fantastic was with Spirit on the likes of Lee Sin here as well. So we'll see whether he does decide to go for something like that early skirmishing power, but it's the lock-in of the Lissandra here, either for Skye or for Assassin. Most likely there for Assassin in the mid lane, and we'll see what World Elite respond with to this one, because of course the Kalista, no surprises there. Whoosh more than happy to lock that one away, and you can see Spirit, he's not looking as down as he was before, and we'll see whether he's going to be able to keep his spirits up heading into this one, and that was an awful punch.
So for all Aluka's recent plotters, specifically it's been his Scion play, which of course is target banned out in this game. They lock him in Maokai. I don't know why they couldn't take the Kalista, because remember, the last ban of this draft is King banning Urgot. Kalista is suddenly the in vogue AD carry, the AD carry that had been banned almost permanently previous to Urgot coming onto the scene. Suddenly Kalista doesn't really have a lane counter. There's good laning matchups like Lucian, but Kalista would have been a very safe first pick, and you would have got one of Maokai or Hecarim. You would have got one of those champions. But locking in the Maokai when 2 capable top laners are available gives away some real power picks in terms of the Kalista, and then the Lissandra, I guess, for just a very safe flex pick.
Yeah, very safe flex pick, and Assassin looking to shove that one into the top lane as well, but not deciding to, as it is going to be King taking away potentially a very similar situation to last time, as Hecarim being looked at and Aurelia already locked in, and that's going to be Liam again on the support Aurelia.
Happy for the support Aurelia. UJ on is very trademark Thresh, but Aurelia did very competitively in that lane. You can see the synergy between Aurelia and Kalista. You can dive in and then have the Fates Call to get out of the fight, or you can use the Fates Call for the initial knock-up into the 2-second situational stun coming through from the Equilibrium Strike. Lucian is the obvious pick against Kalista in terms of laning. Lanes very well, can be a pseudo tank buster, and there was definitely no semblance of a tank buster in the last game, but a far less tanky lineup in general coming out from King. Lucian probably the safe option, and Jia, considering his options, basically has to buy figures mid. No, it's going to be against Lissandra, you'd have to think. Picking LeBlanc into Lissandra, a champion who may not lane necessarily amazingly against LeBlanc, but deals with LeBlanc so well in team fights with that Frozen Tomb. That's a gambit thrown out from Jia. That's a real confidence pick. He needs to step up and show something special, and picking into a skill matchup, that's the definition of that.
Yeah, it's very, very frightening, but of course Jia has shown amazing prowess on that champion in the past. MLXG thinking about Elise Sin here. You can see on his face, not really being that certain, but he's going to lock that one away. So it's going to be Lee Sin, early skirmishing power across the board here, as Spirit does have the Nidalee as well. And I actually very much like that. He's far more capable of affecting this map early.
And we haven't seen a lot of Jungle Nidalee played this weekend, but Jungle Nidalee from Spirit is perhaps his strongest champion and definitely his biggest carry champion. We've seen so many snowball performances from the AP Nidalee from the jungle. Saw, I believe, a small nerf on patch 5.5 before we jumped onto 5.6. The traps no longer doing maximum health damage. Your jungle clear, again, a little bit slower, a little bit more risky. But Spirit bossed around Loveland of all people on this Nidalee. MLXG's been up and down. It's all on Spirit, you'd have to think, to open up this early game because they're running risky lanes again, King. You know, running this Hecarim without Flash could be a potential target of a massive gank from Spirit, who's looking to propel World Elite over the line against King.
Yeah, and the thing that I'm frightened about here is the fact that MLXG now on an even higher pressure early jungler in Lee Sin, and you can see there in the mid lane that Ring of Frost going to be very helpful for Assassin early on, potentially locking down that LeBlanc as she comes in with the distortion. And it's all about this bottom lane as well. Whoosh taking the Kalista again that he had a fantastic performance on in the last game, but into Illusion this time. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, the Piercing Light definitely deals very well before you get high attack speed values onto this Kalista. Kalista's now standard rush of the Bloodthirster for a bit more lane control instead of rushing the Hurricane for team fights. So we'll be able to deal with that damage early, but Lucian does scale much better into the late game than the Urgot they had last game. But you have to say the skill matchup in mid, that's the big interesting one to me, Atlas.
Yeah.
I actually like LeBlanc in lane against Lissandra 1-5, just because Lissandra has fairly short range wave clear, so you can get that harass registered. But the Ring of Frost and the Frozen Tomb, there's a lot of counterplay if Lee Sin's in the right spot.
Yeah, well, MLXG, if we're talking about being in the right spot, he certainly was in the last game, and we'll see whether he can do it again in this one as we head onto the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for our final game of the night. World Elite looking to try and take the points away from King here as they're lining up a 2-0 victory.
And if there's ever a featured matchup, you can see with the cues coming out from both these champions. Spirit and MLXG, they're trying to wrestle control. The early advantage in the first game, the snowball came from that Rek'Sai gank. Rek'Sai, amazingly, falling through picks and bans this series.
Completely, yeah.
Needed to counter the Nidalee with something, and he's gone for Lee Sin.
And wards on top of wards here from Spirit and MLXG. Is Spirit just going to get that on the prowl, passive working as he heads through these brushes? Yeah, hanging around here. Leia might be in a little bit of trouble as the auto attack comes over the wall.
And no CC to be able to take down a fairly tanky high health Aurelia. Of course, has the startings of the Relic Shield, so it was no semblance of death.
Oh, really cute.
There's some very crazy damage ganks coming through. You have to worry a bit for the Nidalee. Probably has the damage advantage on the Lee Sin, but definitely not the flexibility. If he overextends, if the counter gank's ever on point from Lee Sin, you can definitely start to dominate the Nidalee. But two super high pressure junglers. As this is what World Elite do consistently. They love to get that extra experience for the potential level 2 advantage in mid.
Yeah, and a very M3-esque decision made from Whoosh and Liam here as well. They're going to take down this Gromp for the extra level advantage, and this is exactly what Candy and Love CD do as well. They make sure that they're both at level 1. They share the experience so that they can both hit that level 2 at the same time. And Liam now going to proc this Relic Shield and see whether King can actually affect a lot of pressure as they get the early level 2.
And there's no ambiguity about it. You see the lowered health values. You see the late entry to lane. You know they picked up the Gromp. At this point, after a couple of million minions have died, you know they shared experience. You have to expect World Elite will respect the potential for the very early level 2. We can tell actually from the champion portraits they've picked it up as MXG very low in the jungle.
MLXG, yeah, falling very, very low on the Lee Sin of all champions. Of course, very, very healthy normally on his clears, but not going to be this time. Actually taking a few extra ones down.
I guess that's because of solo in the camp. Maybe just a small mistake coming through, but now has to hang back. Level 2's on both sides and bottom lanes. In the mid, the chains are on.
Yeah, Jie again showing some fantastic mechanical play on this LeBlanc, able to dodge out of the way of the Qs and land all of the harass that he wants to, actually staying very far ahead on this farm as well. And even after this creep wave crashes into the turret, GA still going to have the advantage as he's barely missed a creep so far.
It's good to see World Elite and Jia in particular playing aggressive. He's picked a skill matchup, one that definitely seems to, or at least feels like to me, like it gets worse over levels once the Frozen Tomb is acquired. But even against the high skirmish power of Lee Sin pushing in this wave, this is what we saw from Jia when he catapulted onto the world scene playing over at IM Katowice. Translating his high solo queue rating into just very aggressive play against the top mid laners around the world. That shows so much confidence to step into competitive play and really do this. Actually, Spirit's spotted out. The MXG hasn't navigated to his blue yet, and the contest is on.
Yeah, actually the Raptor buff is going to spot out that ward that Spirit managed to get into that blue buff. But you can see the bottom lane has rotated around first here for World Elite. They might be able to 3-buff MLXG here, and that's going to be a very different experience. But there's the Death Sentence actually. Flay almost managing to land there as the spear comes over onto Whoosh. And the blue buff secured in amongst all that by MLXG.
MLXG does get the buff, can't clear out the camp, so the blue respawn will be a bit delayed, but Spirit's playing from the front. He has a lot of pressure this game, you'd have to think, put onto him by himself and by his team just needing a result. And look at this counter jungler.
Yeah, there's the trap, the pounce to come through here as well. Spirit actually getting the reset onto that one as well as there's the, in fact, Smite to come down. That actually deters Spirit from that one, and he's going to have to get out there as the first rotation from Assassin did come through, but Spirit definitely putting the pressure on as GA going to miss the chains there in the mid lane, but Assassin does have to be careful.
And let me just tell you how impressive it is that World Elite were the first team to react to that invade at the blue, because remember, they have the further path, the less direct path to getting to the enemy blue to contest it. They're very on form, and there's the aggressive move.
Oh my goodness, that was the flash into the distortion there as well as the safeguard might actually save his life. Oh my goodness, they both go down. I'm not even sure who got first blood, but MLXG definitely managing to keep Assassin in that one, and GA with a very aggressive play still manages to make it pay off.
Yeah, I didn't spot it either, but now both junglers around me trying to relieve pressure. Nidalee much lower, so won't be able to pick up a lot of experience. The trades are on bottom.
Yeah, there's the Equilibrium Strike there as well as Mystic actually getting aggressed on here. Whoosh and Layham actually winning that trade quite considerably. Not too bad, but a lot of action around this map so far.
The CS completely identical on the lane. Spirits tried to overstay, hits the Q, probably not going to take the resonating strike. He does!
He does and picks up the kill there as well with the resonating strike, and MLXG is able to safeguard flash to safety. MLXG, I don't know what he had for breakfast this morning, but it's certainly working.
MLXG playing so aggressively, and it pays off again. I thought it was Lee Syndrome when he went in for the resonating strike, but picked up the kill and still had flash to get away. The aggression doesn't stop from Jie though.
Yeah, and MLXG still here again. Glacial Path not going to quite find it here as GA does dodge out of the way of the rest of those abilities. That was so incredibly close, as if that Sonic Wave had have made it, then it could have been a very different story. Pierce going to find Mystic here as well, and this game is very, very tight.
Atlas, this has a playoff atmosphere, and we're still 2 weeks away from the playoffs starting. World Elite know what's at stake and are playing so aggressively, but it's been found out by MLXG in particular after setting the tone with that gank on Karthus, with Karthus the first game, getting Karthus snowballed in an unfavorable matchup, and now matching the aggression, in fact, out-aggressing Spirit, and damn near falling down to a golem here. MLXG has put in a masterful performance, and what has been an up-and-down season, like we said, we don't expect this level of play against perhaps the best-performing jungler in the LPL in 2015.
Yeah, and if there's ever an occasion to rise to here, especially in this role, it is most definitely now, as MLXG up against Spirit and definitely showing that he can contend with the top junglers. As GA actually going to get very aggressive onto Assassin Spirit. He lands the spear as well, and GA picks up the kill in the end.
So he does pick up the kill. Spirit's going for the standard Magus enchant, but look at this first pickup from MLXG. It feels like he's taking a leaf from perhaps Loveling's spells. He loves to pick up the Juggernaut enchant, now of course Cinderhulk, but previously the Juggernaut enchant on Java when everyone was picking up Warrior. It's actually the Cinderhulk enchant coming through from MLXG, so certainly not going to be the same 2v2 skirmish damage, but given all the turret diving and general craziness, just going for Cinderhulk Lee Sin.
Cinderhulk Lee Sin, of course, it is going to work out. It does give you a whole lot of extra health here as well. He loves to build the Sightstone, so the Sightstone spike in that health is going to be very helpful, but Mystic in a lot of trouble here on the bottom side. Of course, MLXG is going to land a Sonic Wave there as well. Fate's Call is going to save Layham, and in comes Sky with a massive ultimate. Yuji forced to use that flash as well as Aluka. He did come through. Whoosh, flashing forward, diving underneath the turret, and the passive going to help him out, escaping from Aluka. The Rend is potentially going to be there, but Aluka's going to be fine as GA. He has found Assassin, but he's very low mana. Beautiful Frozen Tomb, but it's not going to be enough as GA picks up another one from the mid. And we'll see whether World Elite can actually capitalize on this, because GA having an opposite performance to last game.
Yeah, they get one kill in transition, but critically 2 to 3 kills in the bottom lane. Big plays coming out from King. I believe it was just the double kill. I think Aluka did live, of course, doesn't have a death registered. But Xia getting that advantage in mid is so significant. Even with the Frozen Tomb available, even with the Negatron rush, this lane is looking very difficult for Assassin and justifying the skill matchup opted into by Xia, picking the LeBlanc into the Lissandra.
Yeah, and the biggest deal is 74 CS to 38 in this lane as well.
Wow.
Assassin is getting completely out-farmed. We'll see whether King, they're going to feel this one as we head towards the first Dragon battles, the first real skirmishes in this one. But we saw MLXG able to utilize the fact that he's a whole lot more tanky than he otherwise has any right to be at this stage of the game with that gank in the bottom side.
I'm just surprised to see the Cinderhulk and Lee Sin, just because Lee Sin doesn't get to build a lot of damage. Of course, it's not the Frog and Lee Sin mid days when you could go for the Pantheon-esque builds with Brutalizer, Tiamat into the Last Whisper. You only get one slot of effective damage item. Warrior gives you so much early skirmish damage that I didn't think it was something you could really give up. I thought Lee Sin would be the last of the champions to opt away from the Cinderhulk. As you mentioned, naturally picks up health items, probably going to be the Randuins and the Sightstone this game. Yeah. So I can see it. And look, the skirmishes, he's been hitting the skill shots. If anything, you could say that if he navigates to the right spots, if he does have the health to tank up a turret, and if the lower damage means that he just ends up providing more assists than taking away kills, maybe that'll work out for his team, despite the fact that it doesn't seem ideal.
Oh, Fate's Call actually going to be used defensively here on the bottom side as Whoosh going to take Lamb away from trouble. Spirit paying a visit down there.
It's really weird thinking to say, well, doing less damage might be helpful, but hey, if you pass over the kills, it might be relevant. There's the Frozen Tomb.
Yeah, G actually going to head back to his Distortion, but he's already in the tomb, and MLXG picks up yet another kill, 3-0-2, and I mean, you say that he doesn't have any damage, still managing to pick up quite a few kills at this stage of the game.
And his jungle pathing has been out-jungling Spirit. That's what we're saying. Spirit out-jungled Loveland. That was a surprise to us. That was a really cemented Spirit's reputation that he'd grown at IEM with wonderful performances there, catapulting World Elite to the finals, beating the GE Tigers. In this situation, it's MLXG that's been super surprising, rising to the occasion of facing one of the best junglers in the world, at least performing in 2015. And Spirit, 5 kills out of 5, 100% kill participation from that Lee Sin.
Yeah, definitely playing this map beautifully as well as Mystic now trying to put some pressure on in this bottom side. Of course, still a very strong 2 versus 2 matchup. But as soon as MLXG gets there, it's a completely different story.
It's just very weird to kind of dissect the power of these 2v2 matchups. Lucian Thresh, the Wifesteal bottom lane, one of the traditionally stronger bottom lanes, but Aurelia Warps, it's a different kind of champion. The disengaged CC that she brings as she levels up the Equilibrium Strike is very, very relevant, as World Elite will at least pick up the first dragon of the game. They timed it till the backs had come through, and they pick it up without any contest.
Yeah, no worries at all. Spirit manages to lock that one down. Does already have his Magus Enchant on his jungle item there as well, the Trailblazer to come through, and is very even on the farm with MLXG, who hasn't spent any time in that Death Chamber as well, but of course the kill participation not nearly there for Spirit. Of course, having some extra kills on the map does make MLXG look a little bit better, and still is on 66%, so still not too bad.
Spirit's got his core, he's got the Magus Enchant, the big 80 AP, the 20% CDR, and of course the tier is stacking up, so he's doing just fine for himself, but definitely not the snowball performance he would have been looking for in Champions Set, not already working towards the Archangel Star, for example. And I guess returning to this bottom lane as we see Mystic clearing out a wave with the culling, I'd probably give the trade advantages to Lucian, but his issue is that the disengaged targeted CC from Liam, every time he tries to go aggressive, if a hook registered or anything like that, you get that 1.75 second stun. You can't go in aggressively. Aurelia deals a lot with these aggressive lanes. It opens up a lot of safety for Callistos. There's the dive.
Yeah, Spear not actually finding the mark. That was a beautiful sidestep from Sky. Is going to get that one in, but Aluka now with a whole lot of pressure on this top turret with Spirit. There's going to be Sky possibly heading back to base, of course, with no flash. Of course, always taking that Ignite teleport there on the top side, but his teleport just coming back off cooldown here as well, and they are going to give up on that turret take. Is Glacial Path going to be taken by Assassin here in the mid lane as MLXG looking to lock down this Rift Scuttler, but in perfect vision of World Elite. But
I believe Aurelia and Lee Sin weren't spotted away. They're going in aggressively. The Wolf Spirit doing a lot of defensive duty. King are putting a lot of pressure around mid without even breaking a turret bottom. I mean, Lucian hasn't entered lane. They're just trying to cause a bit of pressure. Jia doesn't have a lot of wave clear, you have to remember. Nidalee isn't much of a help in that situation. It's only Lucian with a lot of ranged wave clear, and a lot of that's the culling if we're talking about safe wave clear. So I can understand the thought process of just getting a couple members into mid and trying to take this first outer turret, the critical mid one.
Yeah, we'll see whether they are actually able to do so. 700 gold, only the lead here for King, so things still very, very close. And Whoosh, with that Bloodthirster, just has so much staying power now in this lane. Mystic with a BF sword, so a fair bit of damage, but definitely doesn't have the lifesteal that is available to Whoosh.
I think he's ready for a massive buy. Yep, 2,200 gold. I believe he has enough for the Infinity Edge, so he's just trying to back away. Yes, he goes back, picks up the Infinity Edge. That's why he was sitting on a BF set for so long. He moves away, at least at a time when it doesn't threaten Dragon. King are pushing up, but there's no realistic objectives to be taken, not even the bottom turrets. They're not going to be punished for this buy timing, at least as far as I can tell.
Yeah, MLXG is waiting around, knows that he hasn't been spotted. Of course, multiple pink wards here around this area. Glacial Path not going to be taken. That's going to give GA some opportunity to distort this wave to death. MLXG still hanging out on this bottom side. Outer turret does fall down, as Spirit is going to take this red buff as well. Falls to 1 HP, but no one there for a potential steal. And Mystic and Yuji heading back to the lane, saying, where the heck did our turret go?
That was just a better buy timing coming through from Whoosh to be able to shop twice, I believe, for the Vamp Scepter and then the completed Bloodthirster. Overstayed for that Infinity Edge did Mystic, so Bax loses his turret. Probably not going to be a big deal, but always good to see King on point with their rotations because they've struggled with them a bit in the last 3 games they've seen. At least with that buy timing, gets them an advantage in bot lane.
Yeah, GA, he's going to be able to clear out this wave underneath the turret as well, continuing a very high CS lead, considering the fact that the lane wasn't going to go too much in his favor as far as this Lissandra was concerned, especially considering post-level 6, as you were mentioning as well. So does have approximately a 20 CS advantage, 18 if we're being pedantic on that front. And it is going to be a needlessly large rod picked up by GA as well.
Looking down the rosters, there's 4 ranged auto attackers, but it's very hard for Lucian to do safe damage to turrets as a 500 range damage dealer. Does have the Nidalee for a bit of help. The attack speed will help. In general, they have good turret damage. In fact, excellent turret damage with, of course, the Lightbringer passive coming through from the Lucian. It's just risky, of course, to get in 500 range against Alessandra, against the threat of the Onslaught of Shadows, even the Lee Sin Insect initiations. So World Elite, they're going to have to try and engineer teamfight victories. After that, they'll definitely mow down the turrets, but a siege, even with the Nidalee Spears, unless they can get King really low and look for a turret dive, it'll still be difficult.
Yeah, Jia actually going to take a turret bolt there, but gets a cheeky Q onto Assassin as well, sending a message as the Dark Passage is now available for Mystic as well to get out from underneath that turret. Spirit has spent a lot of time up here as he lands the spear after that twisted advance, and now continuing the pressure. There's the flash, actually does have the red buff, of course, so the perma slows there, and Spirit locks down the kill onto Sky.
The spears haven't been registering, but he's still able to pick up the kill with the red buff. So intelligent use of the flash, knowing that, of course, Sky only had the ignite, no counter flash available. Onslaught of Shadows already on cooldown. Wadley don't have any aggressive wards. They aren't able to rotate even with their high turret damage, as we see the Sigil hilariously traveling all the way to the base there. But with 3 ranged auto attackers, this should be the outer turret for World Elite.
Yeah, they pick that one up. They also get a lot of damage down to that top outer turret as well. Very quick 2 turrets here for World Elite. GA just going to distort over that wall, and they secure some vision. 30 seconds here on this Dragon, and King looking in a little bit of disarray, and MLXG has been nowhere to be found for the last few minutes on this map, and after having such a powerful presence early on, you have to think he needs to continue that.
And they have a double Sightstone team against, of course, a Nidalee jungle who doesn't have a Sightstone of her own. That doesn't build naturally into the more carry-orientated Nidalee jungle build. They need to start getting these wards down. You can see the warding deer getting through the enemy jungle and starting to put wards down, but they're being out-rotated by World Elite. We already mentioned the fact, as I think, yeah, Mystic does actually pick up the Krug in that situation. So good job to him there. The reason why I talk about the double Sightstone is that the only way for World Elite to use their high turret damage, given the risk of a siege, is to out-rotate them. And if they can out-rotate a double Sightstone team, that's a significant problem. There's the hook.
Yeah, the descent onto Lamb there as well. Twisted advance from Aluka, but Fate's Call is going to get Lamb to safety. MLXG going to safeguard himself into the backside as Aluka does have a Dark Passage to take if he wants to, but decides not. as GA able to get a lot of damage onto Whoosh there on the backside of that fight. Of course, no one over-committing on this one, and nice spear going to land on Aleum as well, and this is going to secure the Dragon for World Elite.
That was actually 2 critical spears, one just on the screen there onto Aleum. The previous one actually hit onto Whoosh at near max range, getting them both low. Of course, Whoosh has the Bloodthirst that can heal up, but it's a second Dragon and another potential win condition, at least started by World Elite. Good Dragon control early, and they want this third outer turret. I don't think Kalista can stop them with all the ranged auto attackers and just the amount of damage they have.
Yeah, and World Elite, of course, oh my goodness, the Frozen Tomb onto Spirit here as well. MLXG comes around, does manage to get the Sonic Wave for the assist as Aluka is going to have to turn tail and run. They pick up the outer turret in the bottom lane, but Spirit didn't need to die there.
Yeah, Aluka was standing in that brush the whole time and then just had to watch as his friend was instantly burst down between Assassin and I guess MLXG's damage coming through. They get the third outer turret. That's a big rotational advantage, but you can see the laning in general has definitely suited King. 2 kills, not enough to show for just the fact that 3 turrets to 1, it's only a 1,000 gold lead, even less than that for World Elite.
Yeah, and Aluka does have his teleport available. He's got a Frozen Heart and that Righteous Glory, so this is a very big mid-game Maokai, and we'll see whether World Elite can utilize that.
I mean, the mid-game power between the Maokai 2 item and just the Trinity Force Ruby Crystal Hecarim, it will only get worse for the Maokai this game in terms of advantage over his lane opponent. He has a massive amount of tankiness to enter a fight, and Sky is mostly about burst damage, and then has to ride in a Spirit of Dread for consistent spell vamp in order to stay relevant in the fight, or he will fall down to focus fire very, very quick. Lucian doesn't have a Phantom Dancer yet, doesn't even have the Zeal, but may have gold for that already. This is the good time to be fighting for World Elite, because as the game scales on, Hecarim's going to get really, really big. Of course, it's still going to be a relevant factor in Aluka, but you want to take your power spikes, your power windows, where you have that big relative item advantage whenever you can.
Yeah, Jay still able to clear out these waves. Of course, this turret in the mid lane not taking too much damage when you were talking about King, putting a fair bit of pressure around there as well, and Jay has been using that ultimate very liberally to make sure that he can clear out the waves as he can. MLXG still with 100% kill participation now, 3-0 and 3 as Aluka. He's looking to get taken down here by Liam and Sky, but we mentioned it before, so tanky.
And just pops the Righteous Glory, gives him that extra, I believe, 70 movement speed and just backs away. Mystic's going to hoover up this massive minion wave in bot. King have shown a lot of weaknesses in terms of rotation and warding, again with double Sightstone. Their wards don't really tell you a story. They have 1 ward on the enemy blue buff, no wards in the enemy red side jungle at all, and the defensive wards aren't there really either. You're not getting the benefit of 6 wards basically for free being available from those double Sightstones, and that allows Mystic to push in very, very aggressively and start to open up a pretty big CS advantage.
Yeah, he's opening that one up as Wushin actually, he's in trouble, but of course does have that martial poise. He's going to be fine, dodging out of the way of a lot of these skill shots. Spirit actually taking a little bit there, but Primal Surge going to help him stay at full health as Mystic now clearing out this wave, and the siege is on now for World Elite, looking to get a lot of damage down. Sky, he takes a chain there, but doesn't land the Onslaught of Shadows. Jie, with perfect timing of that flash, stops that one from coming through, and the chain was there as well to help him out.
And the Onslaught of Shadows not being available means a big team fight. Ultimate's down.
There's the Death Sentence as well as MLXG actually going to kick Mystic back, but that's the shutdown on the Lee Sin. And World Elite just playing so great as a team.
And what ideal kill distribution. Mystic picks it up. It's going to snowball that Phantom Dancer, getting very, very damage relevant. It's not going to be a situation like the last game where they had an Urgot, who of course cannot tank bust, is effectively a tank himself. Aluka's actually face tanking this turret.
Yeah, no worries at all as well. Not taking a whole lot of damage as this inner turret is going to go down very, very low. Jie just hanging out. Descent's going to land again. Yujie so great on this Thresh as the tower does fall down. King looking to start the fight though as Assassin. He's going to fall. Whoosh takes most of that culling as well as World Elite getting so aggressive. Spirit falls. A double play though in the backside as Liam just trying to be a menace, but he falls down. MLXG, he's going to respawn. Goes on Aluka, but he's so tanky. The passive doing so much work. Pierce doesn't even find anything as Mystic relentlessly pursues after the Lee Sin, but doesn't get it. And World Elite with a 3 for 2.
That was a wonderful play from Mystic on Lucian that game. Remember, he actually dived into the backline, doing damage to the squishier backline because he understood his ranges. He was doing so much burst damage, and the mana bars for some of the other members of the team just couldn't deal with him. So if we do see a replay coming through in a couple of seconds, that was excellent Lucian play. In a lot of situations, you say, all right, stay at the back, focus the closest target. But it he was able to notice the fact that all the initiation ultimates were down. Lissandra ult was down. Hecarim had already shown the ultimate. You can see on the minimap, hasn't actually got the ultimate yet. Lee Sin wasn't present at the fight, so was able to just do damage to the backline. Just showed excellent AD carry awareness to maximize his damage on priority targets in a fight.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily something that you ever get the opportunity to do, as well as Mystic able to weave around those auto attacks by the looks of things. Of course, bending those bullets just a little bit. That wasn't a great movie, to be perfectly honest. Destin's going to land on a lane here as well, but it's a really nice Fates call to get him to safety, stop the initiation. But there's a Luca, twisted advance right onto Sky, uses the Onslaught of Shadows, but does it to the Death Chamber as Liam now going to dive into his demise as well. There's a really, really long twisted advance as Assassin just going to Frozen Tomb himself, but he doesn't have the Zhonya's, so he's going to fall down as well. And World Elite now just taking this game just in control.
And the positioning from their whole team was so on point. In the front line, it was the Maokai and the Thresh. Old man Aluka running these fights from the front line, locking people down with the twisted advance. Jia overextends, but of course not the Warrior Enchant, only the Hex Drinker for damage. They're looking to rush down this Baron. Mystic fighting at the back was doing so much damage in that fight with his Snowball Phantom Dancer we just mentioned. Lee Sin's still in the picture. They're looking for a steal.
Yeah, and that was actually very interesting, using the passive there as GA just to make sure that he's got an extra ward. Little bit cute, but that is going to make sure that the Baron does go down to World Elite. That was a very quick one. They locked that down for themselves. 7,000 gold now the lead, and World Elite looking to be able to at least pick up 1 point in this matchup.
And deny the potential of the third point, Alice. Remember, 23 points, World Elite cannot overcome that advantage. But only the 1 point, World Elite will have 16 points, and of course 2 victories and King falling away. They still theoretically could finish higher than King if they can at least deny the 3 points. This is a very important victory for World Elite. They've rushed down the Dragon here, King. It looks like they'll have control of it, but World Elite, they want exit kills.
Yeah, Assassin actually taking a bit of damage here as well. Glacial Path going to get him to safety, but he's away from his team. MLXG might have been caught out. That's a cute little Sonic Wave onto the Scuttler, but I don't know whether he's going to be safe as the Safeguard is still on cooldown. He kicks Spirit out of the fight. Oh, the Spear! He moves into it. There's the max range Spear, takes down the kill, and Whoosh now is forced to run away. Glacial Path going to get Assassin out, but another Spear lands. The flash into the twisted advance, and Aluka follows up. Oh my goodness, that death sentence was so close to Assassin as the Frozen Tomb not even available, and World Elite, if only this was the team that was playing in the last game.
And Spirit, after the really rough early jungling where he was out-jungled by MLXG, hitting every critical spear when it matters, when the game is on the line, they will at least take the inhibitor in this situation. And what is such an important game for playoff standing, World Elite, they have a massive advantage. They haven't won yet, but it's damn looking good.
Yeah, and they have the strangulation of this map here as well. You can see the pink wards are there. They're moving around to this inner turret in the top lane as well. Look at these pinks towards the top side of the map as MLXG looking to try and get something done. But Aluka, he's an immovable object in these fights. Sky having the flank though. There's the fear onto Mystic as well, trying to take down the AD carry, but Sky just gets ripped apart. Assassin looking for the assassination. They do take down Mystic, and there's the Frozen Tomb onto Assassin as well in the backline. Does fall down, but trades his life for GA there as well. Spirit comes in, just destroys Whoosh, and World Elite now with all of the control in this fight as the kitty cat just mopping the floor of King. The double kill now for Spirit. He's looking for MLXG, lands the spear.
Payback
for
time.
the pounce. There it is, the kick. The Dragon Rage is there, but Spirit with so much chase potential, he might continue the rush down, but jumps the wrong way, and MLXG might be safe.
You could tell there was a bit of feeling in that duel. Atlas Spirit wants this victory so bad. Happy to trace Lee Sin out of base. He walks back in though, but even though it's just the tanky Aluka on Maokai and the Thresh, they should be able to break the base, but certainly no inhibitor coming through for World Elite.
Yeah, it is going to be the MVP minions there as well, doing a whole lot of damage.
Speaking of the minions.
Oh yeah, Spirit, he does have a lot more relevant turret damage at the same time, especially with that Primal Surge, but look at the minions stacking up around that turret, and that is every inner turret down, 2 inhibitor turrets as well. That is 8 turrets to 1 now for World Elite. So much gold in that, and 11,000 gold is the lead that comes of it.
And the Vision Strangulation was there on the minimap, as I think we'll be loading into a replay. We'll wait to see if we do get to see the last fight. Looks like we might not. We get to see our charming faces here, Atlas, so there's still something for the viewers.
Yeah, at least something, yeah.
But it's been just an amazing performance by World Elite, a big level up from their previous game. We're going towards the end of the replay. This is after Lucian has already fallen down. There was the assassination coming from MXG, but who shows up late? But Spirit doesn't hit the spear, but of course does ride the lantern and get the last kill onto Lamb. Chased onto MXG after that situation. Almost complete strangulation, but the fights, they keep going.
Yeah, and Aluka's offered a dark passage, but he doesn't want to get out of the fight right now. The Ventral Maelstrom is there as there's the knock-up to come through onto Lamb, but look at Aluka, he is so tanky. MLXG eats that entire... Whoa, Wushin! How was he there? That is not where he wants to be. The takedown from Spirit gonna lock down MLXG, and he finally gets his kill.
Spear.
Another spear gonna land. Lamb forced to flash. And this could actually be the game as World Elite, they're taking down Nexus turrets. And this has to be off the back of some incredible play from Spirit.
Spirit, Mystic, both of them really stepping up. Fight continues.
That is a beautiful descent there as well, as Mystic just going to take down a Constellation Nexus turret instead of Sky, who's going to fall down anyway. Lamb relegated to the fountain as the Nexus falls. Beautiful play from World Elite, and they just took over that game from about 15 minutes and never let go.
An excellent choice of words, relegated to finish. One thing that's for sure, Atlas, just to step back and look at the table, World Elite will not necessarily be going to relegations today at least.
Yep.
The result that shakes out, King go from 20 points to 21 points with the 1-point result and the drawn best of 2. World Elite, they move from 15 points to 16 points. Critically, both teams have 2 series left to play in the LPL, so theoretically, King getting no further points, World Elite getting the 6 points, they will be able to jump ahead of King. And remember, they have fairly, at least looking at the table, easy opposition in terms of GAMT and EP. The only 2 teams at the moment that 10th place World Elite are ahead on the table of. So theoretically, you cannot put King's name onto this playoff standings just yet. There still is the situation World Elite could finish higher than King. Of course, they only need to finish higher than 2 of King, Starhorn Royal Club, and M3. Starhorn Royal Club and M3. M3 lost 2-0 today. Starhorn Royal Club did pick up the big 3 points. It's all happening at the end, and honestly, it could go to the last game of the season. The last game of the season at the end of next week is Vici against M3. Man, it's all happening, Atlas, and the LPL.
Yeah, and Vici are looking so incredibly strong. Going to be very difficult for M3. But ladies and gentlemen, that was the final matchup of tonight. We still do have another day of LPL tomorrow, so definitely hang around for that one. But on behalf of myself, Papa Smithy, Spawn, and Pastry Time, and our entire production crew, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.